Welcome to the Pinning Combination Podcast. I'm KJ Pilcher alongside Dick Briggs, ready to discuss some of the happenings on the college and high school wrestling landscape today. And of course, as always, we usually start off with college wrestling. Not a lot going on. UNI and Iowa State idle this last weekend. Iowa had a duel on Friday against Purdue. But there's some small college action with especially with the American Rivers Conference ARC duels for last weekend, and they also had their inaugural women's conference tournament, which is a cool deal there. But some more winter weather. Luckily, it's midweek, so it's not affecting really the schedule too much. But Coach, a lot of slush out there around the corridor, isn't there?
Right, starting to get a little melt, which means our piles that are 6 feet tall, maybe they'll be like 5.5 feet tall or whatever.
Right. So rather have it now. Hopefully, we avoid that state tournament blizzard here in a couple weeks, and actually the postseason for both college and high school rapidly approaching for everybody here really within the 8 weeks of everything being over for high school and college seasons. But let's just jump right into it. Iowa Purdue on Friday. The Iowa men and Purdue on Friday. Iowa wins 8 out of 10 matches. They do lose the big, highly touted 1 versus 2 battle at 125, but Iowa look good. Also kind of a tough gauge because I think Purdue's even taking a step back from where it was a year or two ago.
Well, and you didn't have to wait long for that premier match. Like you said, that first 125-pound match. So, I mean, Purdue, as a team, yes, but there's a couple of individuals that are kind of shining for them. Well, at times. Ramos, who is ranked second, beats Ayala, who's ranked first, but there's about 2 or 3 other guys that could throw into the mix there as well. That 25 is really a mess, but it makes it fun. But then I think 157, Joey Blaze, I don't know if he's getting, I think he's underrated maybe. He had a nice win as well this weekend with his win over Nebraska.
Peyton Robb.
Then you get the win over, Peyton Robb, thank you, sorry.
Yep.
Yeah, so they've got a couple of guys that are doing all right, and then the rest are, like you said, maybe not wrestling up to the level.
Yep. Yeah, interesting at 125, Ramos had kind of a slow start to the season, maybe a little bit of a hangover from last year, what have you, but he's really turned it up here recently. He's wrestled well, got the only takedown. Ayala in on a shot late, looked like he was going to tie it up. Ramo with a nice scramble, kind of diving through, and then somehow able to kind of roll through and get back up to his feet to avoid giving up a takedown. Ayala had a nice little flurry late, trying for a go behind, but Ramos able to stay face up with him and wins 4-1. I don't know. I even though Ayala lost that match, I still thought he wrestled well. I still thought there was, there's just kind of watching it, thinking next time they face each other, he'll be in good position to come away with a win.
Right.
I thought there's some good and bad there.
Oh, absolutely. The downside of not winning, I mean, obviously not winning is good. Downer enough, but the downside is it in this with so many guys that it could be number one or whatever, it's going to knock you down the ladder a little bit come
Yeah.
seeding time at nationals. So you've got to, there's some wrestling that has to happen between now and nationals, so you can, get yourself back up in that top rung and number one seed if possible. If you're Drake Ayala. So yeah. So anyway, that's it's what makes it fun though, right?
Right. At 133, we saw Cullen Shriver come back. He kind of had a little bit of a slow start, but really battled through, really took control. The floodgates opened. Uh, he posted a 20-7 major decision, but I thought he looked good coming back. I think 133 is really muddy for Iowa. I know Teskey's ranked. Um, the way Shriver's wrestled, maybe there's something wrong there with Teskey as far as injury. I know Tom Brands alluded to the fact that there was some illness and crud going around the room. But if I remember correctly, I thought he said Shriver would go next week as well. Um, Makes me kind of wonder, you know, if we don't, we might be seeing him in the lineup for a little while, and things may not be settled until we see who steps out for the Big Ten tournament.
Right, and I had that same question, that I had written down here. Is anything decided at 33? It kind of seems like it is. I think Shriver has a grip on that spot right now, and Teskey's kind of lost it with his win and loss to, beat at the
Vandy
at this soldier salute, and then lost to him in the duel, and so I don't know if they've lost confidence in him, or maybe they're giving Shriver a chance here, and now if Shriver stumbles, does it bring him back to the pack a little bit? So one of those things. I don't know. Right now, it seems like it's Shriver's to lose the spot.
Sure. Real Woods, he had a major decision at 141. The other weight where illness kind of affected things. Victor Voinovich III stepped in at 149. Caleb Rachi, who Brand said is expected to be in the lineup this weekend for Illinois Northwestern duels. He was out, but Voinovich looked really, really good. Um, he's somebody that's still vying for that spot. He's a national qualifier that transferred in from Oklahoma State. He looked, I think that's the best we saw of him when he was, even when he was starting there before Rachi got his chance against Columbia. He was offensive. He finished well, kept pushing the pace. Tom Brands kind of mentioned, there's a point maybe where he was going to be satisfied with just laying on top of the guy, and the next thing you know, he's back to being offensive and trying to put up points. So I thought it was interesting. He looked really well. He looked really good on the mat, wrestled well. But then kind of the talk afterwards from Tom Brands, Victor Voinovich, and you want to hear this from guys battling for spots. He's like, even though Rachi's been the guy, he keeps vocalizing to Tom Brands, "Don't forget about me. I still want a shot at this." And he thought it was important that he not only mentioned that, but backed it up with his actions. And I think he did that against Purdue, just to say, "Hey, I'm still in the mix here. Don't forget about me. I deserve, a chance going forward to compete with Rachi."
Well, that's that nonverbal communication. Do it on the mat. So Iowa had 6 bonus point wins of their 8 wins. 4, I think, Tech fall, and maybe Voinovich is feeling it and saying, if I keep it close, that's not going to do it. I got to get out and make a statement to get myself back into the conversation here, and I think he did. So well done.
You mentioned Blaze at 157, handing Franek his first loss of this year. Then he followed it up with the pin of Peyton Robb. So, boy, Tony Urslin's got a good one there at 57, just a redshirt freshman, I believe. But again, another close match there. Or sorry, Franek won 2-1,
Right.
coming off his first loss of the season. But Blaze looked good and then followed it up with a pin over Peyton Robb. So,
Right.
but Franek has got, those close matches have bit him once before. He's got to find a way to really open things up and not keep things so close.
Right. And that's, that's the concern, but maybe this one's a legit, maybe Blaze, who's ranked 16th, should be ranked higher. And because like I said, if he's pinning Rob and going 2-1 with Franek, I mean, that's two quality win and a quality loss, I guess. And, so, I'm not going to get on Franek this week as much as we maybe have in the past. Not that we're on him, but just, wondering.
Right.
So I'll cut him some slack this week because I think that Blaze is pretty decent. So,
yeah, he certainly showed it. He's one of the leaders there for the Boilermakers behind Ramos. So, it'll be fun kind of keeping tabs on him the rest of the season. Caliendo had a decision, wasn't real overpowering, 9-4. I was impressed with Patrick Kennedy again. He had a 19-4 technical fall at 174. There's been talk about possibly Gabe Arnold being at 174. Patrick Kennedy has stepped in, has done. I think he's more acclimated to the weight. Obviously, his conditioning's a lot better now that he's got a lot more mat time compared to when we first saw him when he was jumping on the mat against Iowa State with little to no mat time, with knee injuries and other stuff. So I think we can still see the best out of Patrick Kennedy going forward.
right. And with, we've said this now, it's kind of a common theme through a number of these weights, in that someone is chasing the guy that's out on the mat in terms of wanting that spot. And so that's, you think about it, Coach Brands is sitting in a good spot in that respect. He's got some in the room competition going on that, people are working hard just to earn that spot. And that's a good thing if you're a coach. The bad thing is you got to try and keep everyone happy. And,
Right.
and so, it's a little balance there for him, but that's a good thing to have going when you have that depth in that competition, man. I always love that as a coach.
At 197 at heavyweight, Zach Glazier, Bradley Hill finished things off with technical falls as well. Glazier remains unbeaten. Him and Real Woods are the only unbeaten full-time starters here. Glazier 16-0. I believe Woods 10-0 maybe. But Glazier again, really impressive. I mean, he's just, he seems to keep growing each time. I know there'll be some tougher tests here coming down the pike, but he just is really coming to his own here this season.
Right. And I don't know what his record is, but it's good. And again, he hasn't had that stiff competition yet. That might be, like you said, down the road. But I've got a lot of questions at 285. He's doing it. He's done a real nice job, and he's been quiet about it, it seems. So does he have that motivation to excel now that that Keeter's in the room? Or so some of my questions, does Hill beat Keeter in practice, or is he even with him, sort of thing? If that's the case, does Keeter redshirt? Again, we talked about Keeter having, maybe not being around for, if the NFL, if he's draftable, as a junior, I think they can do it.
Oh,
You know, is he around? So is it worth redshirting? Do you, if you're Coach Brands, do you redshirt with just the possibility that he might not get drafted? You know, it's interesting. I'm curious what happens at 285. So
yeah. You know, like you said, that's one thing that gets overlooked. You know, um Hill has done well. I mean, you know, I'm sure there are a couple um matches or losses that um may not be, you know, high points, but boy, overall Hill has quietly done a good job stepping into um that heavyweight role. And just looking here, he's 14-4.
I was going to say
Um,
it's a pretty decent record.
yeah, you know, and just kind of, I know Bastida was one of those uh losses, and that's, you know, he did lose to a Augsburg kid at the Luther Open, Tyler Kim. Lost 4-1 to Boone McDermott, um, who is a national qualifier, I believe, then Bastida, and then Seth Nitzel from Missouri, 1 point loss. But even in his losses, um, outside of Bastida, he's been right there in it. You know, he's won 5 straight now, um, including, you know, three or two, two in Big Ten duels. So,
Right.
um,
And that,
you know, that's not a bad option if they do want to, you know, depending on what happens between Hill and um Keeter.
exactly, man. If they're close and you're, you know, I don't know. That's an interesting decision you have to make. Uh, the uh, the loss to the Augsburg kid. The Augsburg kid is currently ranked fourth. And I just checked on D3Russell.com, and and that was the first outing of the year. Maybe I don't remember when that duel out west was, but it was right in there in that one of the early tournaments. And so I mean he's lost to a quality D3 wrestler, but again that was early on in his, you know, his career, his varsity career. So
Yeah, and interestingly, three of those four losses have come before December. Because they dueled Iowa State, Oregon State, and then the Luther Open were all in November. So since then, he's only had that 1 point loss to the Missouri Seth Nitzel, at the Soldier Salute by 1 point. So
you know, I don't know what'll happen, but it's gonna be fun.
yeah. So they take their swing through Illinois this week. They've got the Fighting Illini on Friday. That starts at 8 p.m. and then they have the Sunday duel at Northwestern. The duel with Illinois is on BTN, and then at Northwestern is on Big Ten Plus. That's at 2 o'clock on Friday. Um, you know, right now, kind of looking at things, it should be two duels um, that they should win handily.
Yeah, you would think.
Similar to Purdue, I would think.
Yeah, exactly. I would agree with that. Um, and that might be where they throw in a body here or two, you know, just to see where they're at. Maybe they've got their lineup, you know, steady here. I'm guessing they're going to save Arnold and or Keeter for, you know, maybe like a Penn State or I don't even know their schedules. Michigan down the road maybe, or
Yeah. So after Illinois Northwestern, then they go to Michigan on February 2nd, which is the following Friday, a week from Friday, and then the Friday after that is when they host Penn State in the Big E
yeah.
uh, on February 9th. So they got a little time before possibly using them for those two
Mhm.
duels.
Right. So, yep, we'll see.
So one other thing, not locally related, or usually we stay within the state for a lot of stuff that we cover. But one thing I want to kind of mention, um, here recently, Arkansas Little Rock knocked off Arizona State, right? Arizona State in the rankings. Um, and here, Arizona State was like 24th or 25th. However, uh, Little Rock got a big win there. They had some other close duels previously, um, but Little Rock just started just a few years ago, um, and now they find themselves in the top 25 of the coaches' dual rankings, NWCA rankings. 25th from Arkansas Little Rock. They're 10-4, members of the Pac-12. And according to the NWCA release created by Jason Bryant, Little Rock is the first. It's the first time in school history they become uh, the fastest top 25 Division I team after starting up a program. So that's kind of a milestone there for and a great accomplishment for Arkansas Little Rock that it's just 5 years into their wrestling program. They have one NCAA qualifier in school history. They only had 9 total dual wins coming into the season. Now they're a top 25 team. And they have more wins this year than they had in the previous 4. So kudos to Neil Arisman, the head coach. They've got some really talented kids that are cracking the rankings. And Arkansas Little Rock should be applauded. One of those schools that proved you can start it up and find success. I mean, 5 years, that's relatively a short period of time. That's only
Right.
1 or 2 recruiting classes coming through all the way.
Exactly. And that's how many times have we ever said an Arkansas school or
Right.
that whole area, Texas, Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi. I mean, you just don't, they're not wrestling states. And so that's really cool. Good for them.
Yep. So just wanted to throw that out there. The rankings were released and not too much of a surprise with most. Penn State still number 1, receiving all 14 first place votes. Missouri 2, Iowa 3, Iowa State 4. And then UNI is number 22 dual wise. However, it kind of sets the stage for this weekend. Iowa State and UNI heading to Oklahoma for duels against Oklahoma State, which is ranked 5, and Oklahoma, which is number 18, with their new head coach, Roger Kish. So big weekend for Iowa State and UNI heading down there with matchups against the number 5 Cowboys, number 18 Sooners.
Right. And I think it was just a couple of years ago, maybe 3, that UNI picked up their first win
in Stillwater.
In Stillwater. So let's see if we can do it again, Panthers. You look at the Panthers' schedule. They finish tough. I mean, so they'll have, and the rankings that I have are a little slightly different. Must have been looking at different rankings, or it's whatever UNI was listed. They have Oklahoma State 5th, Oklahoma U 19th, West Virginia 21st. Then they have Cal Baptist that's not ranked. Then they have Iowa State 4th, and they have Missouri 2nd, and they have Wisconsin 22nd. That's how they finish out the season. They're like, ooh. So 6 teams that are all ranked above them in the rankings, and to finish it out there. Iowa State has kind of a little bit of a mirror schedule. They wrestle Oklahoma and Oklahoma State, West Virginia. Then they wrestle UNI and Missouri also. So they're similar, but the difference is Iowa State's ranked 4th, not 24th.
Right.
So
Iowa State 9-1, Oklahoma State 8-0. Oklahoma right now 5-3, and then UNI 3-4 here. Um, but I really think a defining duel is going to be that Iowa State is going to be that Oklahoma State duel. Um, they were competitive with Iowa. Maybe a change here or there could have changed the complexion of that duel. Um, but I think this would be a real defining moment getting a win at Stillwater against the Cowboys here with them both being top five teams. I think that's a big one for the Cyclones.
right, I'm kind of glad UNI wrestles Oklahoma State on Friday, so that they can, if they Oklahoma State wrestles Iowa State on Friday, and then UNI has to wrestle them on Saturday. Oklahoma State gets beat by Iowa State. Now they're a little bit ticked off, and to the duel with a little chip on their shoulder, sort of thing. So
Right.
maybe you and I can sneak one out there, and we can go 4-0. The two schools can go 4-0 in the Oklahoma Sooner State. So
Yeah, for sure. You don't want to the old taking a stick to the beehive. You don't want to be the one that walks by after somebody hits the beehive with a stick, right? That'll get you stung pretty good. Um, you know, just kind of looking at some of the possible matchups. 141. That could be a good one with Echemendia of Iowa State, ranked sixth, and Tegan Jamison from Oklahoma State, ranked ninth. Um, you've got Swiderski and Alvarez, both ranked outside the top eight, at 149. You'd think Iowa State would be favored with Chittum at 157, ranked a few spots ahead of Teague Travis. 165 will be a good one. Isaac Olenek of Oklahoma State, who I believe didn't he win? Didn't he win the Cliff Keen Invitational, beating Ramirez in the finals? And Carr got third there.
I think you're right. He did. That's a good memory.
Yeah, and I think Olenek has wins over Hamady from Wisconsin and a um couple other key or big wins too. So there you have 2 and 4 facing off each other at 165. So that'll be a big one. You got Feldkamp, returning All-American for Iowa State, at 184, and Dustin Plott from Oklahoma State, that's ranked number 2 right now. So you've got another top 8 battle at 184.
And Feldman's wrestling good too.
Yeah. So that's a toss up. And then Bastida and Doucette, uh, two ranked wrestlers at heavyweight as well, but you'd think the way Bastida has wrestled thus far that he would be a favorite there. So like Iowa State's chances, you know, to win, but there are going to be some really good battles, I think, in that duel on the 28th, right? 28th or 27th?
It is it's Saturday.
The 27th.
So 27th?
Yep.
Yeah, 27th.
And like you mentioned, on the backside of Oklahoma State wrestling UNI, which that'll be a slugfest.
Yeah,
I think. Looking forward to the matches at 41 there. Obviously 84. Also with Kekheisen and that plot.
Right. Kekaizen will make any match fun, but when you've got a good, strong wrestler like Plot, it makes it even more exciting and fun.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Oh, yeah. So good little tour through Oklahoma there for Iowa and Iowa State this coming up weekend. Uh, any other final spots from the D1 men before we kind of shift gears back to last weekend? Um, the Iowa women had their senior night um on Sunday. They had big wins over Missouri Valley um, College and Life University. Um, those were I think these were impromptu. It was an impromptu competition. I don't think it was originally on their schedule that they put together. Um, but it's kind of interesting talking to John Stepp, uh, our a writer from the Gazette that covers women's wrestling, has been with uh, the Iowa women's wrestling team here, and kind of mentioned how Clarissa Chun talked about how this was coming full circle. I think a lot of people will remember that Clarissa Chun wrestled at Missouri Valley College. That was one of the, the first schools that really came out and had a women's program and offered scholarships and opportunities for women wrestlers. And now here she's coaching the University of Iowa against Missouri Valley in a duel at Carver. So things have kind of come full circle, not just with her, but for wrestling in general.
Right. And if I'm not mistaken, that was nearly, or if not more than 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Geez. I mean,
Yeah.
it's taken that long for this to happen. I mean, good for Missouri Valley, but geez, and it's, yeah. So that's pretty cool for her.
Yeah. Yep. And of course, NAIA, that's where women's growth really boomed, right? That's where they had the majority of the programs for many years. Life, one of the top programs. We saw what they were able to do, um, on an NAIA level, the way they competed at the Soldier Salute, obviously. Um, you know, that's a great program, and uh, Iowa able to come through with big wins there, and then honored some of the seniors like Marilyn Deedy, who transferred from Augsburg, Felicity Taylor, who's been so big, kind of leading female wrestling in this state. The former Southwind Prep and transfer from McKendree. So they had a chance to honor them, which I think was pretty cool.
Right. And for Felicity, being an Iowan, to come back and be able to wrestle at Iowa, this year, what a treat for her. And she, like you said, she was kind of that second wave of the charge. I
Yeah.
would really of the female wrestling movement. So, good for her. That's neat.
Yep. Um, so those scores at 42-0 against Missouri Valley. And then they beat Life 35-6. A couple matches they got flipped from the Soldier Salute. One of them, Lily Luft of from Charles City. She's stepped in at 136-pound weight class. Um, she got a victory over Zayna McBride. McBride, the part of the trio of sisters that wrestle for life, but she had a pretty high scoring bout with McBride at the Soldier Salute. This time she got a pin in 142. So big match, big turnaround there for her. And just going through here, um, Sterling Diaz, Ava Bayless, Brianna Gonzalez, Felicity Taylor, um, Loft, Riesler Mendy, Marilyn Deedy, Kylie Welker, who had just competed overseas here in the last week or two. She's back with the team at 170 and won by technical fall. and then Jason Fuller at 191 with a decision there. So good showing against Life, and of course they swept the bouts at against Missouri Valley. Looking at Emily Frost with a win at 130, Ella Schmidt with a win. Bellamere was in at 155. Haley Ward at 170, and then Olivia White at 191 came away with wins there for the Iowa women. And just kind of looking here, it looks like what's next here for them. They have the Indiana Tech Warrior Duels this weekend. Looks like they start off with Campbellsville, Indiana Tech, and then so those are on Friday, and then they have the an open tournament on Saturday. So full weekend for the Iowa women over at Fort Wayne, Indiana.
Yeah, they're rolling strong too.
Last weekend, the American Rivers Conference duels were held. Luther was one of the sites. Where was the other site? Do you know, Coach?
I should, and I don't. I don't remember where it's at. Luther and I don't.
Okay,
Was it at BV?
I'm not sure. I'll look that up here really quick. But the one at Luther that stands out, Cole going 4-0 out up there, getting big wins over Loris and number 20 Luther. They're 10-1. They've won like 7 or 8 duels in a row, stemming from the NWCA duel. So the Hawkeyes are really wrestling well right now in mid-January.
Right, and they so the format of the art duels is you've got 5 teams. It's a nine team conference. So you have 5 teams on one site and 4 teams on the other. So obviously where you have the 5, you get 4 duels, and where you have the 4, you get 3 duels.
So, Warburg hosted the other.
Warburg hosted,
yeah.
And anyway, so so Co swept and went 4-0. They beat Simpson 54-0, Nebraska Wesleyan 40-9. Luther, like you said, 33-12, and then they wrestled Loris in a barn burner, went 5-5 in matches and won 21-19. Jared Voss and Matt Arsenal, Voss from West Delaware, went 4-0 on the weekend, and then Bryce Park and Will Esmoil, Park from Linmar and Esmoil from West Liberty, right?
Yep.
Went 3-0 on the weekend. So they filtered in a couple of guys to give them some matches on some of those matches. So Co did a nice job. Loris, here's an interesting thing. Loris went 3-1. They beat Nebraska Wesleyan 55-0, Simpson 40-9, and Luther 20-19. Close one there. And then, but here's what I'm getting at with the close ones. Loris has had 6 really close matches. They went 5-1. They'd won them all, or meets. They'd won them all up until the co-meet. They beat Cornell 21-19, Augustana 24-22, Alfred State 23-18, Central 22-17, Luther 20-19, and then lost finally to Co 21-19. So they had some burners this year.
They're going to rapidly age Jaron Glosser. If you keep having close duels like that.
Right. So I was just going to say, Glosser had Kurt Mumson, assistant, who Kyle wrestled many times growing up. Great guy. Those guys got to be aging, like you said. Jalen Schropp from Williamsburg and Zeb Ganida from Solon went 3-0 on the weekend for Loris.
Just kind of looking back at Co, you mentioned they were able to filter in some guys, kind of shows their depth. Just looking at things, they had about 17 or 18 guys get at least one match in those 4 duels, and they still went 31-9 overall. Only one wrestler lost more than once. But that shows Co's depth a little bit. And you mentioned some of those guys that kind of stood out. So I know talking to Coach O, um, messaging with him, he still thinks that the best is yet to come from these guys. That things went well. There's still a lot to work on, but this is a group that needs to keep working, and their best wrestling could still be ahead of them.
I would agree with that. I think Coach O has always done a nice job of getting them to peak at the right time at the end of the season. I was slightly disappointed with last season. They did good, they did well, but not like they have in the past and in the tournament time. And so I'm hoping that if that's the feeling out of that camp, that they're going, we can do better than we did last year, and use that as motivation to finish this strong. They'll have that duel. It's usually the third to last week of the season, regular season. It's with Wartburg, and then Wartburg and Loris usually end the season in a duel there. So don't count out Loris either. They went 21-19 with Co. So
that's right.
So and then in between the Co and Loris is the Battle of the Bergs usually. So there's still some good D3 wrestling left.
Oh, for sure. And then don't forget, unfortunately, it's the same night as Iowa Penn State, but you still got the Co Cornell duel that Cornell, I think, much improved from some previous seasons. That there could be some competitive matches there as well.
Right. And so we'll see on that, but I think they wrestled early, if I remember right. They wrestled in the national duels, and Co handled Cornell pretty well. So hopefully Cornell's going. That's not going to happen again. So it can be more competitive. So you're saying the Battle of the Bergs is the same night as the Iowa Penn State meet?
No. That was Co Cornell. Co Cornell is the same night as Iowa State.
Okay. Well,
I always like going to Co Cornell. Any whether it's football, baseball, wrestling, I like covering Co versus Cornell. Like that series, the Baron Bremner Cup series. Unfortunately, on February 9th, I'll be in Iowa City. Won't be able to be in two places at the same time, unfortunately. So.
Well, those that are not at one of the sites, if you're at home, you can put I'm assuming that it's the Penn State Iowa meet's going to be on the Big Ten channel, so you can put that on, and then you can, on your computer, you can go and put the Co Cornell on your laptop. Watch them both.
Here, lastly, this last weekend, the American Rivers Conference held their first, the inaugural women's conference tournament. That was hosted at Waverly. And the Knights and Simpson both crowned 4 champions. Here, there are no team scores, so there's no team champion. Some schools were able to they had more than one wrestler per weight class for some of them, but the teams that participated, you had Buena Vista Central, Dubuque, Loris, Simpson, Wartburg. I know Luther had announced that they were adding women's wrestling, so things will grow after this first year. So I think that's an exciting step for them. Of course, all these ARC teams will compete in a regional February 24th and 25th, and then we'll have the National Collegiate Women's Wrestling Championships, which, if they qualify, it'll be at the Alliant Energy Powerhouse here in Cedar Rapids, March 8th and 9th. So that's kind of a big step, and looking forward to seeing these women wrestle. Hopefully from that tournament, and also compete here in Cedar Rapids.
Right. Good to see that growth happening. Absolutely.
Yep. Just kind of looking really quick, just the champions for Wartburg: Afton Stussy at 116, Kylie Rule at 130, Allie Russler 136, and Aneo Kelly at 143. Wartburg's ranked 13th nationally right now. So you probably can expect some of those Wartburg wrestlers to be in Cedar Rapids that weekend of the 8th and 9th in March. Simpsons champions were Devin Moore at 101, Sarah Zimmerman at 109, Ashley Cannon at 123, and Cassidy Savaria at 170. So I believe Simpson is still coached by Jeff McGinnis, the old Iowa City High. I shouldn't say old, but former Iowa City High, University of Iowa wrestler who kind of took the reins when they started the program there.
Yeah, I heard he was a pretty good wrestler. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they did a good job, but with hiring a leader there, right? So he knows just a little bit. World champ, national champ. So yeah, so they're making pretty good strides. Had a good showing there at the first ever ARC tournament. So we'll see how the postseason goes for them, because that's going to be here before you know it, as well. So just a month out as
Right.
far as the postseason for colleges.
And I'm glad to see that they did a bracketed tournament. The boys' side doesn't do that; they just do those duels, and
Right.
so it was nice to see. And they used to do a tournament, but back when you were competing, didn't they have the? Well, it was the national.
Yep. It was the national qualifier before the East Coast schools cried and bitched and moaned about not having the fair allocations because they couldn't beat the Iowa Conference kids in the first place. Sorry if that sounds a little bitter, because it is, because I think the regional qualifiers are stupid events. And I don't think they get the best, the overall best wrestlers at the NCAA tournament, as far as I'm concerned.
And they leave a lot of great wrestlers home because they're getting beat out in the lower Midwest and upper Midwest regionals.
Very, very much so. So, the Iowa Conference tournament, because it switched before it became the ARC. I'll just say that. That was a national that sometimes that was just as tough for some of the qualifiers as it was going to the NCAA tournament. Before the allocations were, your qualifier, usually the conference tournaments like that, they averaged out the All-American finishes over the previous 3 years. And that's why the Iowa Conference would always have more allocations than everybody else, because they freaking earned them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, it's the East Coast people, and there are a couple colleges that I can think of that were kind of at the heart of things, but I'll say that to you off the air when we're done recording. But they whined and cried until the NCAA committee came up with regional tournaments with qualifiers locked in stone, like the top 3 at each weight advance. And
now you're getting me lit up, because 18 18 NCAA allows Division II and Division III 18 wrestlers to compete in the national tournament. What?
Yeah.
You got to be kidding. 33 in Division I, which it should be, and 18 is all they allow. Come on,
Yeah.
what is that about, NCAA?
And how many schools compete at the D3 level? 109?
I think it's over that. It's closer to maybe pushing 120 or getting.
Okay.
I don't know. I haven't looked lately, but you're in the ballpark for sure.
Yeah. So much more and less qualifiers and stuff. So
And I
yeah.
think we won maybe 70. You know, oh, I haven't looked at that lately either.
Oh, I thought it was somewhere in between 75 and 80. I thought
Yeah. Yeah.
80 on the top end, maybe.
Yeah.
I can't remember because we have had teams like Arkansas, Little Rock, Cal Baptist moved up. Presbyterian added a program. So yeah, it's somewhere right around there.
Yeah.
But yeah. So after I got that off my chest, do you have anything to get off your chest with teeing it up with Briggs?
Teeing it up. Okay, so it's a little bit of past the hash today, so we're having some fun. College season officially starts right in October. Who knows what they're doing prior to that? And ends in March. That's 6 months. That's way too long. Eliminating hair length and facial hair in high school has been good. That rule eliminating that. Now, National Rules Committee, please change the out of bounds rule in high school to equal the college rule. It's so much easier to call, and everyone knows it. Anyway, thank you to all the wrestling officials that allow us to have the sport. Please consider becoming an official. My favorite cookie is soft and chewy peanut butter. However, I've never met a cookie I haven't liked, so I'll ask you in a minute here. Many times the conference Coach of the Year award in high school goes to the team that wins it. Not always. I tell you, there's times when I'm thinking the team that is maybe middle of the road or below that kept their team together and was able to field a full team when they didn't have success. That coach and that coaching staff and those kids, sometimes they deserve to be the coach of the year.
Sure.
Is 40 matches too many in high school? 50, 60? Some have even maybe as much as 70 in a year. I think it is. There's a limit there. If you could have one fruit for the rest of your life, what would you choose? For me, it's bananas. All right. And high school girls wrestling has been huge. Has been a huge success early on. We need to continue to keep it growing. On the flip side, the women's college wrestling at the D1 and D2 levels needs to get off their butts and start programs. What do we have? Only 4 D1 programs in the country. That's embarrassing. Bravo to the D3 and the NAIA programs that do have women's programs, but let's keep growing. Like, for instance, locally. So Cornell, they have one?
Yes.
Yeah, they do have one. No, they have. So.
Yep.
And that's it for today. So my question is,
sure.
If you can have only one fruit the rest of your life, what would it be?
One fruit?
Yes.
Grapefruit.
Yeah.
I love grapefruit.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah.
That was something that and I eat it weird. I eat it like an orange, where I peel it out. I don't cut it in half and dig out the pulp and eat the grapefruit that way. I peel it and pull the slices apart and eat it that way.
Wow, you're an animal. That's tart. Okay.
I love it.
Good for you. Shoot. Okay. Favorite.
Interestingly, when I was little, my grandfather used to watch me. And that was one of the things that when he that was like his mid-afternoon snack. It was a peeled grapefruit into slices that my grandmother made for him, and that's where I picked it up.
And you eat the skin too?
No.
Just
no.
Yeah.
You peel it.
Okay.
Peel it first, and then.
Okay, still that's tart. Okay, good for you, man. Animal.
And then, did you say something about favorite cookie?
Yeah, favorite cookie.
Don't laugh. Everybody cringes when I say this. Oatmeal raisin cookies are my favorite.
Oh no, I like them.
Yeah, I get a lot of guff from family, including my daughters, about liking oatmeal raisin cookies.
Well, the good news is if they don't like them, then they won't eat your.
Or for me, that's right. Not that I need them, for goodness sakes. I need to eat more grapefruits than oatmeal raisin cookies, but that doesn't work out sometimes.
Don't we all? Yeah.
Well, hey, let's take a look at high school wrestling for this last weekend, and just a quick look ahead as well, with conference tournaments coming up and super regionals for the girls this Friday. But I was at the Clyde Bean Duels, which is now the Klein B or the Brad Smith dash Clyde Bean Duels at City High. Right before the finals, they had a little ceremony, kind of honoring Brad Smith, and announcing the name change. So that tournament will now commemorate or recognize both of the former Iowa City High coaches in one. So I thought that was pretty cool. Of course, couple decades in Brad Smith's career there at Iowa City High, in between two stops at Lisbon. So that was kind of neat. We've seen him honored this year at the Battle of Waterloo, and then now at City High, where he previously competed. But Mount Vernon came away with the team victory there. They wrestled really well. Had big wins over Clear Creek Amana, Iowa City High, and then finished things off with a win over Dubuque Hempstead. So big day for them. Just kind of wrote a little bit about the Jaspers. They're both ranked number 2. The younger Jaspers, the sophomores, ranked number 2 at 138 in 2A. Jackson Jaspers is senior at 144, ranked number 2, a 3-time state medalist. Jace, the younger brother, was a state finalist last year as a freshman. Interestingly, both of them tie into Greg Randall, possibly. Jace, as a freshman, was Mount Vernon's first freshman state finalist since Greg Randall, which was all the way back in 1979, I think. I was 79 to 82, I think, was his time there at Mount Vernon as a 4-time state champ. And then now Jackson Jaspers, if he becomes a 4-time state medalist, he will become the second to ever do it. And of course, be the first one since Greg Randall did it when he was a 4-time champ. Of course, Greg Randall went on to wrestle at the University of Iowa for Dan Gable, was a college wrestling coach, head coach at Boise State for a few years before the program was shut down. But Mount Vernon looked really tough, 53-20 over Dubuque Hempstead in the final. And the Jaspers brothers had 2 big wins against Iowa City High, and the win that they had in that duel. Jace Jaspers with a last-second escape to beat Cale Kurtz. In that match, Kurtz had scored a takedown late to tie it. But then Jasper's able to escape. I think it was like between 2 and 3 seconds left that he was able to get free to win. And then his brother Jackson scored a takedown in sudden victory to win 4-1 there. So over Jake Mitchell, who's ranked for City High. So 2 big wins there for them. They went 5-0, really leading the charge for the Mustangs. As we mentioned, Dubuque Hempstead got second. They won their pool, went undefeated, but finished behind Mount Vernon. Clear Creek Amana was 3rd. Prairie was 4th. Xavier, with a win over City High, finished 5th. And the host Little Hawks were 6th. And then it was Atumwa Kennedy Oskaloosa Muscatine rounding out the 10-team field for finishing. But Mount Vernon, boy, they looked impressive. I thought Prairie and Clear Creek Amana and Xavier looked good throughout the day.
Right. So we talked about Xavier last week, possibly not making the duels, the regional duels. So here's another win over, I think, a ranked team there. So good job.
And the regional duels were just released earlier this afternoon.
Oh, I didn't see that. Okay. So then
And
Xavier has a win in that, and then Clear Creek, Amana, and Prairie. I wonder if they're tired of wrestling each other yet.
yeah, right.
Right off the bat.
That's like 3 times now.
I think so. Yeah.
3 or 4 times they've crossed paths.
So and then Mount Vernon. I'm looking at this team, and it's interesting you brought up that era, 79 to 82, right in there with the Randalls. That was the Mount Vernon Tim Johnson coached teams. That was a team, man. I mean, so this team, this year is very comparable to that. I'm going to pull out some names off the top of my head. Greg and Steve Randall, Marty Williams, Steve Goodall, Paul Hufford. I know I'm missing some other ones in there, and I'm sorry for that, but it's I'm glad I pulled those guys names out.
Yeah,
but
right.
That's a team that probably would have won state had Paul Hufford not blown out his knee and missed the state tournament. So, and so that they are likely going to win that, and so maybe this Mount Vernon team can. As it was, I think they finished second or third, but so that hopefully this Mount Vernon team can bring home the gold.
Yeah, and we talked. Think some people have talked about how 2A is really wide open. They certainly have the potential. They've got, and I think this is a lineup for Vance Light that, it's one of those that kind of transitions from individual tournament to dual formats really well because they've got balance, and depth, and they've got some high level point scorers, right? Where you talk about Clayton Perot, who's top ranked at 106, and he's just a monster in that lower weight class. You've got both Jasper's brothers. You've got Mikey Ryan at 150. Ethan Woods had a good season at heavyweight. You've got guys that could put up bonus points and get wins in the dual format, and then you've got guys that can finish, in the finals, win titles, finish in the top 3, 4, 5 that really rack up points. In the traditional tournament as well. So this is a team that has that sweeping ability, even though you're going to have to battle teams like Osage and Union and West Delaware and Sergeant Bluff Luton and Indy and a lot of really good teams in the 2A field.
Right. And I think last year Osage was just the cream of the crop in 2A, and I think Mount Vernon's there. We'll see if they can knock them off, but yeah, that's gonna be fun. Remember I said I wasn't sure about 2A. The very first podcast, yes. I was going 1 and 3A. I'm excited. 2A, I'm not sure about. Well, heck, look at it now. So
yeah, cool. Exactly. You're right on. You're right on from the get-go with that. So you were at Anamosa for the girls River Valley Conference tournament and the Denny Christensen, right?
Right. So I'll start. Friday night was the girls, and they had 15 teams in that 12 teams in the River Valley Conference, and West Liberty came away with a win. They had 234 points. Anamosa had 186, so they were second. West Liberty had champions in Sylvia Garcia at 115, Dion let's see. Garcia Vasquez, and then I think three sisters ended up champions, and then Rashia Garcia Vasquez was a champ at I think 235 if I remember right. So they had three sisters that were champs there. So nice job there, and then also throw in Angelina Bonilla at 170. And Anamosa had champs in Addison Musher at 130 and Hadley Frater at 145. Mid Prairie was third, didn't have a champ, but they ended up third with 135 points. West Branch was fourth with 110 points. They had a champ in Tegan Hartz at 170. And then Tipton ended up sixth with two champions, Addie Niram and Becca Hinderraker at 125 and 135. And then Durant had Laney Shelengowski at 105. And Bellevue had Kelsey Knief at 155. So it was a good tournament. They competed hard, and I got home about 11:30 or 11:45 at night.
And then you had to go right back up the next morning, right?
Turned around and went right back up to the Denny Christensen. By the way, Denny Christensen was in attendance, and I got to talk with him in between going from mat to mat. And man, Denny's such a good guy, and looks like he could. I teased him a little bit and said, "You look like you could go out and coach for 10 seconds." And he laughed, of course. He did say that this is interesting news that Jason, you're probably aware of this. You get the information, but I wasn't. Son Jason, who was coached at Oskaloosa and Southeast Polk and had such great teams at both places, is being inducted into the Iowa High School Wrestling Hall of Fame at the state tournament this year. So that's pretty cool.
Part of that class.
Yes, I mean so deserving there. Holy cow! Anyway, the champions of Denny Christensen, Anamosa, both the boys and girls had good weekends. So Anamosa was a champ with 237. They had four champs. Hudson Welton at 113, Easton Wheeler at 144, Aiden Antonelli at 165, and Austin Scranton at 175. Second place was Liberty. They had a couple champs in Landon Bell at 157, Vincenzo Lima at 215. And then North Fayette was third, no champs. And then at fourth was East Buchanan, Cody Fox. Have you seen Cody Fox before?
Oh, yeah.
That guy is a monster.
Big feller.
Holy cow. I couldn't raise his hand very high. This guy, he's a man. Got a full beard, and he weighs, I think he weighed in at 270 something. And he's going to play football at Iowa, so he's just a big kid.
Yep. Cousins with Ben Keeter.
Oh, is that right? I didn't realize that. Okay.
Yep. So
then to finish up, Syracuse Washington had a champion, Sam Brennan at 106. I did want to mention this. I was impressed with this young man at 150. Starmont's Keaton Moeller. He's ranked number one in 1A.
Yep.
Man, what a city! Third last.
Finished third. Yep, third last year as a freshman for him.
Right, and he's 35-1 in the season, and his only loss is a 5-2 loss to Kittleson from OSA.
Oh wow!
And who was second in 2A last year, and so that's a pretty quality loss, and then just a real tough looking kid. He's only a sophomore too.
Yep.
Keaton Moeller.
Yep. And one thing I want to add, you mentioned Vinny Lima winning at Anamosa, surpassed 100 wins here recently too. So I think it might have been at Anamosa when he got his 100th win. But that's always a big plateau, even with the number of matches now. But congratulations to Vinny Lima of Liberty. Might be their first, even though they had Ashton Barker for a little bit. I would wonder if maybe that's their first 100 or 100 win wrestler at Liberty.
Could be. What's Liberty? Less than 10 years old, isn't it? Still?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yep. Another dual tournament in the area, Alburnett. hosted their dual tournament. And of course, Albernette that's jumped up to number one in some of the rankings. They looked dominant, winning their home event. They won their pool, going 3-0. They beat Dyke New Hartford 72-6, Iowa Valley 61-18, and then beat New Hampton Turkey Valley 42-25. They moved on to the championship bracket, where they defeated Burlington Notre Dame 56-11, and then Fenimore Wisconsin 39-28. So Albernette looking really good. There is Fenimore won Pool B. Burlington Notre Dame was the runner-up in that pool and finished fourth overall. And New Hampton Turkey Valley was third. So another good showing for Albernette, which that's a team. We knew they were right there with Don Bosco and Wilton, but they just seem to get stronger and stronger as the season progresses. I know we talked about how 2A could be a lot of fun. I think 1A, that could be a real interesting battle when things get down to the state duels and then Des Moines.
Right, and it's hard for me to judge. I don't know Fenimore. I don't know anything about them, so they had a close duel with them. I don't know if that's a not great win or just an okay win.
Right.
So because I don't have it's hard for me to judge that, and I don't really know much about New Hampton Turkey Valley either. So that finished third. So that's boy, but when you win a tournament anywhere, that's a good thing. And obviously Albernette is doing a good job. They're turning it on right now. So I don't know if they'll get Don Bosco or not, but we'll see.
Right. Clinton, the Bob Lueders Invitational down at Clinton. Linmore comes away with a team title, and Iowa City West finishes second.
Right. Good showing by the two local teams. I mean, that's a 21-team tournament, and they took first and second. Linmore had champs in Malik DeVoe at 120, Kane Knockborn, who's now 25-0 on the season, at 144. Grant Kress, 157. Knockborn had won it with 4 pins and wrestled a total of 3 minutes and 47 seconds.
Wow.
Full time, yeah. Kress, who also
he's a man on a mission.
Yes, he is. And Kress also had 3 falls and a technical fall, so he's not far behind. Pretty good showing.
I think there is a point there where maybe Grant Kress was a little banged up. Looks like maybe he's on the other side of that, doing healthy, huh?
Good, yes, yeah, for sure. And then Iowa City West had 2 champs. Alex Pierce at 113 and Justin Avila at 150, and finished strong. So
just looking at some of the others, one of the big tournaments this last weekend, the Ed Winger at Urbandale. Bettendorf ends up winning the team title over Fort Dodge by 5 points, like 199.5 to 194.5. One of the big notable matches, the 120-pound final, Jake Knight versus Drew Ayala. Knight of Bettendorf, Ayala, of course, from Fort Dodge. It was Jake Knight coming away with a 5-3 win. So not only that was that big for him, that's a huge win between the two top title contenders in 3A, but that seemed to kind of be the difference for Bettendorf to outlast Fort Dodge.
Right. And don't count on it. Ankeny Centennial wasn't far behind. So the top 3 were 199.5 for Bettendorf, 194.5 for Fort Dodge, and 186.5 for Ankeny Centennial. And all 3 had 6 place winners in the top 3. Bettendorf had 3 champs, and the other 2 had 2 champs. And so it just kind of fell that way. But you're right, that one match might have been the one that took Bettendorf over the top. And I saw some of the match, some of the takedowns. It was really a fun match to watch with the little bit that I saw. So between Knight and Ayala.
Yeah, and I've got a feeling, I've just got a small feeling that might not be the only time they cross paths. Not trying to put the cart in front of the horse, but I'm guessing we're going to see a rematch somewhere down the line here.
Yeah, you'd think maybe a finals at state. Who
Yeah.
knows?
So
That's not untypical of that tournament, though, to see state finalists wrestling each other.
oh yeah, for sure, and just kind of looking at just the depth of the field. Um, you've got somebody like Jaden Luna from Bettendorf finishing fourth. Um, this was an extremely tough and deep field at the Ed Winger, which no surprise it is most of the time. But
Here's something interesting, KJ. So there's 16 teams there. The
mhm.
top 10 teams all had a champion, at least one champion.
Wow, I love that.
Yeah.
I think that's a huge mark of a good tournament. That parity where you have a lot of different teams that have the ability to have a champ. I think of the one year at Waterloo East, I think for the MVC where 13 teams had at least one champion. There was only one school that had two champs. Um, Here just probably about 6, 7 years ago, maybe. Um, but I love that aspect of a tournament when you have so many teams that have quality individuals able to win.
Right. I think it was more than that because I think it was when Kyle was wrestling. But
Sure.
so it's funny how they go by so fast.
Yep. And then one of the other things to mention, Carter Freeman with a big win, handing Coy Davidson of Fort Dodge his first loss of the season, 3-2 in that one, where Freeman from Waukee Northwest um, won at 138. So that's one that stands out as well.
Right. And Coy had a couple of wins early on in the season against, well, Freeman and then
Kurtz.
And Kurtz, yeah. So
Yep.
and so he was on a roll. That's a good win for sure.
Anything else from this last weekend before I really want to share the regional duel, the final regional duel pairings.
I would just say this real
Right.
quick. The MVC girls had their tournament. Cedar Falls won that. They had 4 champions, and they had 13 in the top 4. So they really kind of ran away with that. 279.5. Second place was Prairie with 162, and Kennedy was third. Lindmar fourth, and then the Walmart girls. Vinton Shellsburg won that, 198 points. West Delaware was second with 163. Mount Vernon third with 161. Solon 156 was fourth. Indy was fifth, and so those tournaments that also went on. So kind of inaugural tournaments for those girls.
Yep, and we've got the IGHSAU Super Regionals this weekend. We'll touch on those here shortly, but uh, really want to mention the final rankings, pairings, regional dual assignments that were released earlier today. So this sets the field for the dual postseason, which begins Tuesday, January 30th. These events will start at 6 p.m. For all classes with the first round duel, and then the host will face the winner of that duel immediately after in the regional final with a chance to advance to state duels at um, Extreme Arena in Coralville on February 3rd. So I'll start with 3A, and then I'll ask you what kind of stands out there, what you think the best regional duel is. Um, so at Southeast Polk is number 1. They'll face the winner of Iowa City High and Norwalk. Indianola is number 2. They will face the winner of Ankeny and West Des Moines Valley. Bettendorf is ranked 3rd. They will face the winner of Cedar Rapids Prairie and Iowa City West. Prairie 13th, Iowa City West 19th. Fort Dodge is ranked 4th. They will face the winner of Carlisle and Hawkeyes. Ankeny Centennial, you mentioned their performance at the Ed Winger. Dual wise, they're ranked 5th. They will face the winner of number 11 Johnston and number 21 Cedar Rapids Xavier. So Cedar Rapids Xavier making just their second regional dual appearance.
Congratulations to Xavier.
So at Hawkeyes Northwest is ranked 6th. They will face the winner of number 10 Bondurant Farrar and number 24 Dallas Center Grimes. Dubuque Hempstead is number 7. They will host number 12 Clear Creek Amana and number 20 North Scott. And then Linn-Mar, ranked 8th, will host number 9 Waverly Shell Rock and number 23 Pleasant Valley in 3A. Coach, out of those regional sites, is there any of them that really kind of stand out to you as maybe a little bit of a barn burner or a grind?
I was trying to follow along. I was looking at the dual rankings, IWCOA dual rankings, as you were saying that, because I had that already up. And it looks like they separated them pretty well. I didn't see anything that looked like it shouldn't have happened or whatever. But again, is Hampstead hosting?
Yes. And they have Clear Creek Amana and North Scott, 12 and 20.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, I would say they fall pretty well there, and you'd think the top 8 would be favored in those. The host schools would be favored in most of them, but I know that doesn't always happen. I've had some wins where we thought we should have been hosting, we weren't. Went down to where North Scott and ended up winning, and it's kind of like it was our motivation. Hey, coaches, you missed no sort of thing.
Yeah, 2 of them, and of course, I don't have like the regular season results in front of me, but just glancing at this, one of them that stands out to me at Hawkeyes Northwest, a possibility. I wouldn't be terribly surprised if Bondurant Farrar was able to pull off an upset there. Clear Creek's had a really good season. I just don't know if they have enough to upend Dubuque Hempstead. But I think that'll be pretty competitive there between those 3 teams. Clear Creek, North Scott, Dubuque Hempstead. Saw North Scott against Kennedy right before the break, and they looked pretty tough. And then you never count out Waverly Shell Rock. I mean, that's kind of a tough draw, I think. With Linn-Mar and Waverly Shell Rock could be a real barn burner, but I still like Linn-Mar holding their seed there and getting back to state duels.
Right, I would agree with that. Now, who does Bondurant Farrar have before they would be in the finals?
Dallas Center Grimes.
And
number 24, Dallas Center Grimes.
Yeah, so I agree with you. That could happen with Bondurant. Go figure. Bondurant Farrar was never a 3A school.
Yeah, right.
Sure, yeah.
But they've grown tremendously here over the last few years. That community's really blossomed. At Class 2A, the top 8 really no surprise. Number 1 Osage, they'll host Anamosa. I'm not sure if Anamosa's ever been in a regional duel before, but they're ranked 16th in this last set of rankings. They'll face Crestwood, number 19 in the first round. Osage will get the winner there. At Mount Vernon, you've got number 14 Solon and number 18 Columbus Community, formerly Columbus Junction. So the winner between the Spartans and Columbus Community will face number 2 Mount Vernon. Creston is 3rd ranked. They have number 15 Carroll and number 20 Winterset. West Delaware will host 13 Benton Community and number 23 Decorah in the regional duel at Manchester, with West Delaware facing the winner of that first round duel. At Sergeant Bluff Luton, The Warriors are ranked 5th. They've got Glenwood and Webster City in their region. Then Independence, they host. They're the number 6 seed. They've got number 12 North Polk and number 22 Union Community. At Algona, you've got number 7 Algona hosting Hampton Dumont Cal, and then New Hampton Turkey Valley, who's ranked 21st. And then number 8 Ballard, they'll host number 9 Humboldt and number 24 Williamsburg. Williamsburg coming off a win in their home dual tournament. It's been kind of a tough year because of injuries and some other things there for the Raiders, but they're in the regional duel again. They'll have Humboldt with a chance to wrestle Ballard for a spot in the state duels field. Looking at this here, and I know this is going to sound weird. Benton's had one of their best seasons. They're ranked 13th. Previously, they were ranked number 7. So a week ago, they were in line to possibly host a regional duel. They dropped to 13th, so they go to West Delaware. I still would put money on West Delaware getting through, but Benton Community is a team I think you should keep an eye on here in the regional duels.
Right, and then I'm looking at the Sergeant Bluff Luton, and you said Glenwood was with them?
Yes.
There's another one. Glenwood could pull one there maybe. So,
and Webster City's in that. That might be the top 3 or maybe the most competitive.
Yeah, and then
regional duel.
Tell me where's Independence again?
They're at home. They'll have the winner of North Polk and Union Community, and I think Union, that was going to be one. They're going to give up some points because they have some holes, but then you look at the top tier guys that they have, like a Coy Mailer, obviously Braden Bonesack and Jace Hedeman, Caleb Olson. I think it's Keegan Ellsworth. They've got half of their lineup that can put up 6 possibly. So that's going to be if they get past North Polk, that's not what Independence should be looking past. I wouldn't think.
Well, when you're Independence, were they the 8th seed? You don't look past
number 6
seed. You don't look past too many, hopefully. But I would still favor Independence in that one. But you're right. That could be a sleeper one.
So, in Class 1A, Alburnette's the number 1. They'll face the winner of number 16 Pleasantville and number 17 Earlham. Don Bosco is the number 2. They have number 15 MFL Marmac and number 20 Nottoway Valley. Wilton is 3rd. The first round duel is number 13 West Branch versus number 19 Truro I-35. That's quite a jaunt for Truro I-35 to come all the way across to Wilton, but that's your regional duel there. At Lake Mills is number 4. They'll face the winner between Denver and Akron Westfield. Nashville Plainfield's number 5. They'll face the winner of Emmitsburg and Central Springs. Then you've got number 6 West Hancock facing the winner of number 11 Wapsie Valley, number 23 Oakland Riverside. At Jessup, they're ranked 7th. They'll have the winner of number 10 Lisbon and number 24 North Butler Clarksville. And then Hinton is the number 8 seed. They'll face the winner of number 9 Logan Magnolia and number 21 Shenandoah. So right there, obviously the one that stands out just on name alone, Lisbon going to Jessup. Facing North Butler Clarksville first, and then if they win that, Jessup. I wouldn't look past the Lions and Coach Helmrich in his first year taking over for Brad Smith. And I think of all the places that they could have sent Lisbon, this was probably the best place for them. And it matches for the rankings. So that's the right place where they should be.
Right. They got a nice draw. Yeah, I mean that's those last two, Jessup and Logan Magnolia. Is that the 8th seed?
Hinton
Uh,
is the number 8 seed. They have Loma and Shenandoah, and then Jessup the 7
so
with
that'd be
number
another
8.
one. Logan Magnolia could knock off Hinton as well. So those two right there stand out to me as
Yep.
possible upsets.
And I'm gonna say this too. I would not be surprised if Wapsie Valley makes it through. They have a good team. Um, you know, uh, I think they were in the state duels last year.
Okay, write that down right
With
now.
West Hand, I would not overlook Wapsie Valley getting to Coralville this year.
Okay, I got it noted here, so
Okay.
that's you're calling it. So that if it happens, it's on you that way.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I'm wrong more than I am right. So
Wapsie Valley people are hoping you're right.
yeah, right. Or they could be cringing like, "Oh no, he picked us." No,
good,
the Pilcher
good
curse.
point.
The Pilcher curse is a real thing, folks, and I apologize for that. But yeah. So there's your regional dual field kind of set. So the paths in front of those teams are set, and that'll be January 30th. So next Tuesday, um, right there.
I'm happy for those teams that don't make it very often. Like, like we've been mentioning Xavier. I don't remember. You also mentioned Anamosa. And
Right.
I don't know if they have made it or not.
And Jessup's another team
Just
too,
gonna say
where
Jessup, yeah.
they've had, I always like to see kind of new blood a little bit, right? It's always kind of natural. You don't like seeing the same teams over and over again, even if it's just a one and done kind of deal. I think we've talked about this before too, that, you know, for some programs, this is a huge stepping stone, or this could be a springboard for that first, you know, bit of success, that little taste of success. Hey, we did this, uh, kind of opening the eyes of some other guys on the team or even younger wrestlers that, hey, this is doable. This is that's something that we can do. And kind of work towards it.
Right. So, and especially Jessup, who's ranked seeded in the top 8, if they can hold their seed, they'll make it to the state tournament. That's even bigger.
Right.
So, yeah.
So big weekend this weekend. The conference duel or conference tournaments on Saturday. The girls' postseason is Friday, and I'm just going to run down the regional assignments here with area teams. Kind of looking the 4 super regional sites. You got Tyson Arena in Sioux City, Hy-Vee Hall in Des Moines, the Alliant Energy Powerhouse in Cedar Rapids, and then Mason City High School Field House, obviously in Mason City. We don't have any area teams heading to Sioux City, but in Des Moines, we've got a few in Region 3. It's Albia, Ames, Ankeny, Boone, Carlisle, Sheridan, Dallas Center, Grimes, Eddyville, Blakesburg, Fremont, English Valleys, Fairfield, Iowa City High, Iowa Valley, Johnston, Moravia, Nevada, Newton, North Mahaska, North Tama, Ottumwa, Pekin, Pella, Perry, Pleasantville, Sigourney, Keota, in Winterset, Region 4, Anamosa, BGM, Cardinal, Centerville, Clark, Osceola. The other area teams include Iowa City West, Mid Prairie. Tipton will be there as well in Region 4, also at Hy-Vee Hall. In Cedar Rapids, Regions 5 and 6 are at the Alliant Energy Powerhouse on Friday. The full field for Region 5 is Bellevue, Comanche, Cedar Rapids, Jefferson, Washington, Central DeWitt, Clinton, Columbus Junction, Denver, Don Bosco, East Buck, Fort Madison, Independence, Linn-Mar, Louisa Muscatine, Marion, Marshalltown, Midland, Northeast Pleasant Valley, Prairie Union, Waller, Xavier, West Liberty, and Wilton. You mentioned West Liberty won the RVC. Here recently, you've got some returning champs that wrestle for Prairie with Childers. Linmar has been one of the top girls teams around. Same with East Buchanan. So an extremely tough field there in Region 5. Region 6, you've got Albernet, Assumption, Benton Community, Bettendorf, Burlington, Cedar Rapids, Kennedy, Clear Creek, Amana, Davenport, Durant, Western Dubuque, Highland, Iowa City, Liberty, Keokuk, Lone Tree, Maquoketa, Mediapolis, Mount Pleasant, Mount Vernon, obviously Swart and Libby Dix, Kirsten Sport, two of the leaders there for Mount Vernon. Muscatine, North Scott, Solon, Vinton Shellsburg, you mentioned, won the WAMAC. You have Ellie Wheats, Bree Swenson, Chloe Sanders, heck of a trio there for Vinton Shellsburg that had success at state last year, leading the way. Then you have Waco, Wapello, and West Branch. Mason City, Region 7, the area teams there are Cascade, Elkader Central, MFL Marmac, Olwine, Turkey Valley, New Hampton, Postville. South Tama goes all the way up there. Same, Starmont teams with West Central. They're up there as well. Then you've got West Delaware, who we saw dual independence last week in that Region 7. And then Region 8, the area teams consist of Belle Plaine, CPU, Decorah, North Fayette Valley, South Winneshiek, Waukon, and Williamsburg. Williamsburg going all the way to Mason City. Jeez.
Wow.
But those would be some doozies, especially in the Cedar Rapids one. We saw last year how fun and exciting those were. We'll see that again.
Boy, those are huge regionals, aren't they? 20.
Yes.
Seem like about 25 teams or so that you're.
Yep. And I think the top 4 advanced, if I remember correctly.
Well, I guess they only have one qualifying tournament, so.
Right. And I think the IGHSAU, the girls union, is encouraging. They're encouraging fans to get online and get tickets there for those regionals and those regional sites. Looks like things will get started at 10 a.m. at each site. Doors to spectators open at 9. So you can, if you're planning on attending, those are the times that are most important for you. And then just to confirm, top 4 place winners from each weight class, from each region, advance to the state tournament. February 1st and 2nd at Extreme Arena in Coralville.
Which I think is 9 days from now.
Yeah.
State tournament. Jeez.
Yep. The opening day is already on the 10-day forecast. So that tells you a little bit. That's how I judge the distance or how far out events are, whether or not they're on the 10-day weather forecast on my app. So I can keep track that way. Conference tournaments this week. MVC up in Dubuque. Is that pretty much a 2-team race, do you think, between Linmar and Dubuque Hempstead?
I'd throw City High in there with their
horses
if it can get thinned out a bit. There's some other teams that have shown improvement throughout this year, and I don't know that they can contend, but they can certainly help thin it out. Like a Prairie and a West, Iowa City West. Those types of teams there. So we'll see. Does Waterloo East compete in that?
No, not anymore.
They're out of it, aren't they? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. I think the one thing I'm really kind of looking forward to and hoping it happens possibly 157. Possibly get that matchup between Kale Voinovich, and Grant Kress.
Yeah,
So
we'll
kind
see.
of looking forward to that. Seeing if that happens up in Dubuque. It should be a good tourney. Just like every year. The WAMAC. I will be at the WAMAC in Williamsburg, and I tell you what, I don't know if there is a tougher field or more competitive field uh than what this WAMAC will be, both team wise and individually, per weight class. Um, that has the makings of a real humdinger.
Well, right, you've got. I mean, the top teams aren't at the level they've been at necessarily in the past. They're still pretty good. The West Delawares and the Independences, they're still pretty darn good. But then you've got the other teams that have stepped up and they're closer to that, which is going to make that, like you said, a very competitive tournament for sure.
Yeah, and you've just got weight after weight. We've seen some of the duels. With you've got uh, you know, we already talked about there are three WAMAC teams that were going to host regional duels. And I know it's a different format, but still, it just shows you how strong they are. You've got good individuals from each team, and we saw just recently Jax Miller and Caden Kramer, two ranked kids, uh, going at it. You're going to have that throughout the whole tournament with some of these. You've got individuals. You've got state finalists from South Tama. Um, you know, you've got the same thing from Mount Vernon. South Tama probably won't factor into the team race, but they have individuals that are going to be uh, probably in the finals or vying for um, top finishes that are going to affect the team race as well. So when you get into the quarters of this tournament, you're going to have possible state tournament caliber matchups,
Right.
um, with the WAMAC.
So do we put the favor tag on Mount Vernon?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think right now you do, but telling you, Independence is a team. We saw what they did at the Benton Community Tournament. Um, that's a team that I think is going to be right up there, and they could win it all. Obviously, West Delaware has the capability of being able to do that. Um, you know, Clear Creek Amana. Clear Creek Amana is going to be a team uh in the top five. Um,
They just won't
you
go
know,
away. They've competed so well this year, haven't they?
they really have, and they've got some outstanding individuals like Kale Nash and Howell and Jones and a few others that um, they're going to be big factors. So I mean, do they have enough? Do they have the depth? We'll see. I think they're in the same boat with Benton Community. Benton Community's got some studs, like the Hang. Um, they're going to factor in too. I mean, it's just you've got, and someone's got a couple individuals. I don't think they have enough to kind of crack the top three or four, but boy, you've got some really good teams. I mean, we're not even talking about Williamsburg right now, who usually is right towards the top, but they've got some good individuals as well. I mean, it's just going to be exciting all the way. And I just think right now, if your nickname is the Mustangs, whether it's from Mount Vernon or Independence, I think those are your two favorites.
Right.
And West Delaware, you know, uh, they have the capability of winning it all. And I could also see him getting third uh, as well.
Right. I mean, there's just not every team has someone on their lineup. I don't think you even mentioned Vinton Schellsburg, but
No,
they'll be in there as well with a couple of individuals. So, um, yeah, it's going to be fun. What a tournament! You'll have fun there.
yeah, for sure, for sure. So, might even see if I could stop by the pizza house sometime there in Williamsburg. I haven't had it yet, but I heard it's really good. So,
Maybe you can have
yeah,
it Uber Eats or whatever they call those.
yeah, right. See if I can't get Kurt Ritchie, the football coach, to run over and um, grab me some. But the Tri Rivers Conference, that's a biggie. That's at Maquoketa Valley. I think Alburnett obviously is a heavy favorite there, but um, that's going to be uh, a fun event. We mentioned Keaton Moeller of Starmont, one of the top individuals. Maquoketa Valley's got those top um, heavyweight wrestlers that wrestle. They're at 190, 215, and heavyweight with Davis and Salau uh, and them. They they're going to battle. You've got Cody Fox, obviously, with East Buchanan that you mentioned. Um, you're going to have a couple weight classes with some big clashes. I think uh, in the finals. Um, Up there with the talent that's in that, and we're not even talking about Lisbon, where you have Sadler and Ferguson and some of the others in that Lisbon lineup, and of course Alburnett, uh, with about 7 ranked wrestlers. So um, Alburnett, the favorite there in Maquoketa Valley, but should be some really really neat finals matches, including 215 heavyweight in those. So,
So, KJ, will you be doing a ranking or a prediction of any kind prior to the state tournament?
yes, yep, yep. We'll here after this week before the postseason starts. I'll have a list of individual area rankings and stuff like I did right after the break and stuff, and then I'll have like for our state preview, always do like champion predictions and top 3 team predictions as well. Is that what you're asking?
Yes, that's perfect. Bingo. You answered both of them.
Yep. A couple of the other area conference tournaments here before we close things up. The River Valley Conference, that's at Bellevue. Anamosa, West Branch, Wilton, um, those teams kind of in the mix there. Obviously, Wilton would be kind of a favorite, but I wouldn't look past Anamosa and West Branch to kind of give them a push. The Northeast Iowa Conference tournament that's been dominated by Waverly and they host could be. I don't know if you've caught up or you've stayed up on some of the conference um, alignment situations with the Northeast Iowa Conference, but who knows? Maybe this is one of the last conference tournaments we're going to see from them, and at least in this version, with teams like Crestwood looking to join other conferences. Same with Waukon, and I think a couple others maybe looking to join the Upper Iowa Conference instead. So this could be the final year we really, or at least one of the final years that we see the NEIC in existence, at least in this current stage. Um, and then I was just trying to look to see where the South Iowa Cedar League is. That's with Belle Plaine, Iowa Valley, HLV, and it looks like HLV will host that this weekend as well. So that pretty much wraps up the majority of our area conferences that are competing this weekend.
So this is out of our area, but is it still called the CIML?
I believe so, for the teams that are in it.
Yes. I'm just curious because that's that's usually a 2-day tournament, and that's a hummer with those high quality teams from Des Moines area.
Right. So, and then what's the Iowa Alliance? Is that the new conference that involved the
Waterloo East?
Yeah, the Iowa Alliance. They have their conference tournament. That's Ames, the Des Moines schools, Fort Dodge, Waterloo East, Ottumwa, Mason City, Marshalltown. Marshalltown had some good performances at the Jayhawks, so that's not a team to really sneeze at too much. Waterloo East, they've got a top-ranked wrestler, Max Magana.
But that stretches from Ottumwa to Fort Dodge.
Yes. And over to Waterloo East, and
wow.
Yeah. So covering quite a bit of ground there. Any other final thoughts or words or any topics we haven't touched on?
Holy cow.
Go around.
A lot of wrestling.
Yeah, it's a lot. Remember around Christmas when we weren't sure what we were going to talk about and stuff outside of the soldier salute because we're kind of in a dead period. Totally opposite of that now.
Yeah.
It will be at least until mid-February, right?
Right. Yep.
So the championship season begins Saturday. So, well, actually, if you start with the girls' championship season, began last weekend and really hits full gear Friday with their super regionals. So it'll be fun. Do you have any assignments for this weekend?
Yeah, I'm
any place you'll be officiating?
I'm at senior.
Dubuque Senior for the MVC meet up there, so you'll be able to give us a good recap of what goes on up there. Like I mentioned, Saturday I'll be at Williamsburg for the WAMAC tournament. Really looking forward to that. Should be exciting and fun. And then regional duels next Tuesday. So a lot going on in a short amount of time with girls state tournament and state duels at the end of next week. So looking forward to it. And would like to thank everybody again for watching us and following along all season as we get down to the nitty gritty here at the end of January and into February. So on behalf of Coach Briggs and KJ Pilcher, thank you for watching this week. And Coach Briggs, take us out with Wyatt's promotional advice that he always gave to fans and followers.
Doesn't seem like we need it this week, but let's keep wrestling on the move.